I got my mask on. I'm out of the Jewish community and in the Lower East Side. I'm about to check out what's going on at Marc Straus Gallery. On the first floor, there's Otis Jones, and on the second floor, we're going to see Jose Carlos Martinat. And so here is Otis Jones. There's obviously a lot going on with minimalism and the actual structures of the canvas. He's interested in material to create interest, visual and aesthetic interest. And they have written on the press release here, devoid of pictorial motifs, narratives, and at times even color, the work of Texas-based artist Otis Jones is muted, yet intensely physical. Yeah, the Otis balances this roughness and this materiality with serenity in a really interesting way. And he handles acrylic paint very well. He uses it to his advantage, especially I think in this tan piece, which was a standout. I have seen somewhere and do see immediately the references to certain Indian tantric art. The circle, but the mandala is empty of all the ornate stuff of Buddhism, and it's just like these dots and serene open colors. And it does have this meditative effect when you see it. He reduces painting to the most simple elements, and yet they retain interest, visual interest, and a sense of feeling. Okay, so Jose Carlos Martinat. So these are not actual paintings in the traditional sense. What we're about to see actually just like graffitis and wall surfaces that he's extracting and then turning into a canvas, but I don't think he modifies them in any way. They're just street signs and political posters that have graffiti on them and that he's extracting and turning into art. And they talk about in the press release the political conditions of Latin America, the quote, countries that are torn between socialism, autocracy, and neoliberalism. This is interesting. You conceivably have to walk in this narrow passage here. You can see the back. Gives you this feeling of claustrophobia, like you're being assaulted with these signs, posters, from the street or something. Rhinophilia. Reminds me of Oscar Murillo, but the pieces on the floor make me think of Anselm Kiefer. People in North America we don't see in the news the reports of what's going on in South and Central America, but there's a whole world, a whole life going on that this is a way of putting that in front of us, extracting out of their world and putting it into our world. I know some people who are South American and from Central America who go back there and are involved with protests, and there's a lot of political tensions there. And so I can understand why an artist feels like he can't just make paintings about himself or about things he likes, but he wants to engage with what's going on politically. It's almost like in the way of his art, of actually making art is the political burden that he feels, his personal burden. And there's like a sense of like loss and despair, I think, that he's grappling with, that he feels it's necessary to show that barrier and that confusion and that bewilderment rather than produce something of himself. He doesn't have that privilege. He doesn't have that opportunity. You do feel like you're looking at paintings because there's painted marks, for example, on that tree or on the number 2. But that's actually just I read later that that's actually just an affect of the graffiti and the found works, that he didn't actually make these marks. And so that obviously questions like ideas on authorship and originality, and puts forth, previous ideas about found art and copyright. This tree I discovered is like an emblem of a political group. But like when I saw it with the crosses, I'm thinking about like the Garden of Eden and the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge. And although it has the backdrop and the intensity of this political Latin American thing, it's also artwork. The thing is, when you get close to the paintings, you see that it's plastic. Like you get a sense of the plasticky, it's like tarps. And you're aware that like, okay, these are not like canvas paintings that someone made in a studio. Something else is going on here. Now, I do think that he has an aesthetic sensibility. He makes decisions on what he's going to extract and show in the gallery. And he often chooses images that have an iconic, impressive aesthetic stature. Squares, circles, and strong color combinations that resonate with the eye, like on this red, white, and blue. It's not all just about political commentary. There are the aesthetic decisions going on. And in terms of the aesthetic impact, a major part of this is that here you are in this like beautiful white walled gallery, and then these like very fragmented, roughed up tarps are like hung there. And there's this strong impact of like beauty of the sort of destroyed and the destructive. And we're all used to seeing these types of graffitied, plasticky things in this world today, in commercial places or in the city. But when you hang it in the gallery, there's a certain impact. You see the beauty, even if a disturbed beauty, of these objects.
A major part of the effect of the works aesthetically is that there's these stellar white walls, like something out of a Stanley Kubrick movie, right? The Modern Gallery. But here we have extremely rugged, scratched and plasticky tarps, and it's that contrast that is optically exciting.